Iran reportedly making a major change at the top of its national security apparatus, putting a former IRGC commander in charge of the Supreme National Security Council. And this comes as Tehran and Washington remain far apart over any potential deal to end the conflict. Now, Tehran claims the Strait of Hormuz is closed. President Trump says the critical waterway is open, with the U.S. Navy firmly in control. Watch this.
It's open now. Look. The only one that has control of the Strait of Hormuz right now is the United States Navy. We have a blockade that's been infallible. It's a steel wall. And we let people in that we want to let in, and those people come in, and they've been coming in and they're going out. So it's actually open now. We do not let them go into Iran.
Joining me now, former Trump State Department senior advisor and Center for the National Interest fellow Christian Whiton. Christian, good morning. So I had Heritage Foundation senior fellow Steve Yates on with me last hour. Well, you listen to what he told me about the current situation with Iran.
There are some glass half full parts of where we are, in the sense that I think the maximum pressure campaign has had a meaningful impact on reality inside Iran. Early military operations significantly degraded the highest priority things that needed to take place in order to buy some time and some flexibility to work through the harder parts of where this lands. But I think that it's very, very clear, at least from what's being said openly, words are not where they need to be to give an indication that a deal is coming soon. And I think in some cases, even just the flow of goods. The president's correct that we have overwhelming capability. We are in control of the situation militarily when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, and yet we don't have numbers of ships going through as they should be.
Christian, your thoughts on this?
Well, I think Steve is exactly right. Both people, both statements, the one from President Trump and one from the Iranians, the implication from the Iranians can be true. There are no Iranian ships of any significance that are exporting oil, and that's costing the Iranian regime a lot of money. Fortunately, the Iranian regime doesn't really care about the privation that causes the Iranian people. On the flip side, oil getting out to any market to lower the price of oil, which is now, West Texas, I haven't looked this morning, but, back up around 80 or higher, Brent higher still. There just isn't that much traffic going through. And whether we need more U.S. Navy ships in there to increase that flow, or whether we need to move the insurance industry from London to Miami so that tankers can get through, whatever needs to happen is not happening. And as a result, you're seeing high gasoline and diesel prices here, and soon higher food prices as well.
And that's, the question we're going to be asking when we get our inflation data out starting tomorrow. We've also got the situation happening with Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is rejecting key elements of President Trump's Gaza peace plan. Netanyahu wants Hamas completely disarmed first and foremost, while the Trump-backed plan envisions a path toward an Israeli withdrawal and eventual Palestinian self-government. And the Trump administration says the plan is still on the table. Christian, how do you think this is going to affect President Trump's relationship with Netanyahu?
Oh, it's probably not good. You're going to see some sparks fly, but the relationship has always been based more on national interest than on friendly photo ops and chumminess. Israel has realized it's crossed the Rubicon here. It's gained the criticism of the media and of Europeans and a lot of liberal Americans, much of the Democrat Party. But those people are always against Israel and never really thought Israel should defend itself. But these people, Hamas in Gaza, came across, murdered a bunch of Israelis. That they're bent on the destruction of Israel, and they need to be disarmed. And Israel really is going to do whatever, and no amount of sort of flowery negotiation language, next step processes negotiated by American negotiators or others is going to change that. And the reality is, Israel is determined to get rid of Hamas in the south and get rid of Hezbollah in the north.
Yeah, and protect their borders and protect their people. A Chinese national has pled guilty to trying to buy American military technology in a scheme that prosecutors say was designed to get sensitive equipment into China. Now, this comes as Washington is reportedly grappling with depleted munition stockpiles from the Iran war. Gaystone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang weighed in yesterday about that very possibility. Listen to what he told me.
A lot of people worry that Xi Jinping will say, let's go invade the main island of Taiwan because the U.S. doesn't have the munitions. I'm sure he would love to do that, but the point is the Chinese military is not ready to invade the main island of Taiwan, and Xi Jinping does not trust his flag officers. So that's probably not going to happen. China is going to back into a war. And although Xi Jinping may not plan it, he'll be involved in a region-wide conflict, because once he's involved, Russia's involved, North Korea's involved, Japan's involved, Australia's involved, we're involved. So this is region-wide war. And by the way, once you have the war in Ukraine, the war in Iran, and a war in East Asia, that looks like global conflict.
Christian, your thoughts on what he told me yesterday?
Well, that's certainly a pessimistic view, although it's optimistic in the sense that I think he recognizes that Xi Jinping is not as likely as some said to invade the main island of Taiwan, Formosa, which is a hard thing to do, in which the Taiwanese actually just demonstrated in a complex military exercise that was very drone-centric, decentralized, that they are willing and able to fight a Chinese invasion. So all of that is good. As for China spying on the United States, that's not a big story, but it's something President Trump should keep in mind when he welcomes Xi Jinping to Washington this fall for a state visit, and continue to press on issues like China's military aggression. Also, it's human rights violations. The fact that as Jimmy Lai, an old man in a Hong Kong prison, guilty of the crime of having a pro-democracy newspaper, Trump might want to remind the world that our system of government is actually better than the commies, better than the Chi-Coms. I think that would be refreshing for a lot of Americans. Wage a little political warfare back on the Chinese here.
Yeah, no, and the issue of Jimmy Lai has been, it's just been so sad what has happened to him. His family has joined Maria several times on this program, and the conditions that he is dealing with are just horrific. But maybe that conversation will happen in September, to your point. So, Christian, you've got a new piece out for the National Interest about Japan's economic strategy and why a strong Tokyo matters to America's economy and military security. Christian, China's building its military. They're trying to close the gap with the U.S. How important do you think it's for Washington to have this stronger relationship with Japan right now? And you write about that.
Well, so yeah, I think it's crucial. If you look at who's actually going to fight with us, if we have, God forbid, if there's a war with China, I think it really comes down to Japan and the Philippines. We have other treaty allies out there, Australia, which seems to be, the Aussie Karens, the UK Karens of the South. Recently, I just am not convinced they're going to be a factor in a war with China. You have South Korea. I think they're going to lose our phone number, or say they're offline for a couple weeks. Call us later if they have to fight. They're not going to want to stick their nose into a war if they don't have to. So Japan, and also Japan has an economy twice the size of South Korea. It has changed its political disposition to be much more, frankly, honest about the threat that China poses, and that it would come into any conflict involving Taiwan. You have Japanese islands of Okinawa just a couple of 100 miles from Taiwan, and some Japanese islands closer. So also another point here is that Takaichi, the Prime Minister of Japan, is undertaking, it's not true Reaganite, Thatcherite, supply-side economic reform, but it's a hint of that. It's significant pro-growth economic reform, and she's taking a lot of heat from the establishment, financial media, things like Nikkei Asia, Keynesians out there. But I think she's going to stick to her guns, and clearly Treasury Secretary Bessent and Trump want her to stick to her guns.
She's been fascinating to watch, to your point there. Christian Whiton, it's always great to have you on the program. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Cheryl.
All right. Well, we've got a lot more.